We send my friend out here, and out walks Dean. And I just looked up to heaven and said, "Dear God, give me something to say."
The personality you see on the big screen is just a facade, and Ernest Borgnine's revelation proves it. For years, he remained silent about his experiences with Dean Martin, the legendary King of Cool. But when he finally spoke out, his shocking truth changed everything. What did he reveal, and what impact would it have on Dean Martin's legacy? Join us as we uncover Ernest Borgnine's truth about Dean Martin. One moment that stuck. Ernest Borgnine, an Academy Award-winning actor, was best known to classic TV audiences as the lead in McHale's Navy. But his career spanned far beyond that role.
The nominees for Best Actor are Ernest Borgnine in Marty, James Cagney in Love Me or Leave Me, James Dean in East of Eden.
He excelled in both comedy and drama, delivering memorable performances on television, in films, and even on Broadway. Throughout his career, Borgnine worked with many Hollywood legends, including two of Las Vegas's most iconic entertainers, Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. In an interview with EmmyTVLegions.org, Borgnine shared his experiences with these two stars. One of his most notable collaborations with Sinatra was in the 1953 film From Here to Eternity, one of the greatest films of the 20th century. When Borgnine first heard that Sinatra had been cast, he was surprised. At the time, Sinatra was struggling in his career, and many doubted whether he could deliver a strong, dramatic performance. However, his portrayal of Maggio in the film not only proved his talent, but also won him an Academy Award. Borgnine also recalled a touching moment with Dean Martin. After finishing a scene, he was walking off set when Martin entered. In front of the audience, Martin looked at Borgnine and said, "Now there's an actor." That moment left a lasting impact on Borgnine. Coming from his mouth, from his lips.
Coming from his mouth, his lips, it hit me in such a way, you know. And I loved him so much. He was just a most wonderful...
"It hit me in such a way," he said. "I loved him so much. He was the most wonderful man, just like Frank Sinatra. They were real, just two great, wonderful people." Borgnine had immense respect for both men, not just for their talent, but for their character as well. Sinatra, in particular, had a reputation that didn't always reflect who he truly was. Many people labeled him as a heavy drinker or someone who got into fights, but Borgnine dismissed those claims. He shared a story about actor Lee J. Cobb, who had suffered a heart attack and was hospitalized. One day, an ambulance arrived and took Cobb away. Confused, he asked where he was being taken and how he would pay for it. The response was simply, "Don't worry about it." Cobb soon realized he had been moved to Sinatra's private compound in Palm Springs, where he could recover in comfort. When Sinatra later visited, Cobb asked, "Sir, why? Why did you do this?" Sinatra's response was simple, "I like the way you act." Why did these compliments for Dean Martin and Sinatra mean a lot to Ernest? Let's check out his life and career struggles. A peek into Ernest Borgnine's life. Ernest Borgnine, born Hermes Efron Borgnino, had it hard. His parents, Anna Boselli and Camillo Borgnino, were Italian immigrants seeking a better future in America. Anna came from Carpi, near Modena, while Camillo hailed from Ottiglio, near Alessandria. However, their marriage faced early struggles, and when Borgnine was just 2 years old, his parents separated. His mother took him to Italy, where he spent 4.5 years immersed in his ancestral culture. By 1923, his parents reconciled, and the family name changed from Borgnino to Borgnine, with his father also adopting a new first name, Charles. They settled in New Haven, Connecticut, where Borgnine grew up alongside his younger sister, Evelyn. As a child, he had a strong love for sports, yet acting never crossed his mind as a possible career. He attended James Hill House High School, where he focused on physical activities rather than the stage, unaware that one day he would become a Hollywood legend. After graduating from high school, Borgnine sought adventure and purpose, leading him to join the United States Navy in October 1935. He was assigned to the USS Lamberton, a destroyer, minesweeper, and dedicated himself to his duties. By October 1941, he was honorably discharged, but fate had other plans. When the attack on Pearl Harbor shook the world in December 1941, Borgnine, like many patriots, felt the call to serve once again. Just a month later, in January 1942, he re-enlisted, determined to contribute to the war effort. During the Second World War, he served on the USS Sylph, a patrol yacht assigned to anti-submarine warfare along the Atlantic coast. For nearly 4 years, he endured the relentless demands of naval service, facing the dangers of wartime patrols and the unpredictability of the open sea. By the end of the war, in September 1945, he was once again honorably discharged, having completed nearly a decade of service. His hard work and dedication had earned him the rank of Gunner's Mate First Class, along with a collection of military honors, including the Navy Good Conduct Medal, the American Defense Service Medal with A device, the American Campaign Medal with a Bronze Star, and the Second World War Victory Medal. Even after transitioning to a new life beyond the military, Borgnine's deep connection to the Navy never faded. In 1997, his years of dedication and unwavering support for the armed forces were recognized when he received the United States Navy Memorial's Lone Sailor Award. Just a few years later, on December 7, 2000, he was honored as the Veterans Foundation's Veteran of the Year. Perhaps one of his most memorable honors came in October 2004, when he was awarded the prestigious title of Honorary Chief Petty Officer by Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy, Terry D. Scott. The ceremony, held at the U.S. Navy Memorial in Washington, D.C., was a moment of deep pride, not just for Borgnine, but for all who had served alongside him. This special recognition acknowledged not only his time in uniform, but also his lifelong commitment to supporting Navy personnel and their families. What path did Ernest pursue after his years of service? And how smoothly did he transition into this new phase of life? A search for purpose. After his discharge from the Navy, Ernest Borgnine found himself back at his parents' house in Connecticut, unsure of what to do next. With no job waiting for him and no clear direction in life, he was at a crossroads. Reflecting on this time in an interview, he recalled how, after the Second World War, he wanted nothing to do with war. He even went so far as to avoid joining the Boy Scouts. His mother, after a few weeks of offering kind words and pats on the back, eventually gave him the push he needed, asking with a knowing tone, "Well?" a subtle way of saying, "It's time to find a job." At first, Borgnine took a job at a local factory, but it didn't take long for him to realize that a traditional life of factory work wasn't what he wanted. Seeing his son's frustration, his mother, who always encouraged him to pursue his passions, suggested he try acting. She reminded him how much he loved performing and being in front of people, often making a fool of himself for their amusement. Initially, Borgnine didn't take the suggestion seriously. However, one day while sitting at the kitchen table, he had an epiphany. He felt as though a light went off in his mind. He realized that this could be the path he was meant to follow. He took his mother's advice to heart, much to his father's displeasure, and began to study acting seriously. Borgnine enrolled at the Randall School of Drama in Hartford, where he perfected his craft. Soon after, he moved to Virginia, where he became part of the Barter Theater, an institution known for its unique practice of allowing audiences to barter produce for tickets during the Great Depression. Borgnine's first role at the theater was in State of the Union, where his performance, though brief, earned the audience's admiration. His next role as the gentleman caller in The Glass Menagerie helped further build his reputation as a talented and versatile actor. As he gained confidence, Borgnine made the move to New York, where his Broadway debut came in the role of a nurse in the play Harvey. His success on stage led to roles in television, where he made his debut on the show Captain Video and his Video Rangers. These appearances led to even more opportunities on television, including stints in Goodyear Television Playhouse, the Ford Television Theater, and Laramie. His early TV roles built his profile and proved his ability to play a variety of characters, ranging from heroes to villains. One of his early villainous performances on TV earned him a part in the film The Whistle at Eaton Falls, his first significant movie role. Eventually, Borgnine made the move to Los Angeles, where his career took off. He received widespread recognition for his role as the sadistic sergeant Fatso Judson in From Here to Eternity, a film that won multiple Academy Awards. His reputation as a solid character actor grew with each subsequent film, including Johnny Guitar, The Bounty Hunter, and Vera Cruz, where he often played antagonists. But it was Marty that would become his defining role. In this heartwarming tale of a lonely butcher seeking love, Borgnine portrayed the humble and relatable character of Marty, a performance that would win him the Academy Award for Best Actor.
Sir Tracy in Bad Day at Black Rock. The winner is Ernest Borgnine.
The film also took home the Palme d'Or at Cannes, and Borgnine's portrayal of Marty became iconic in Hollywood history. Just when he was beginning to lose hope, Ernest found himself making a decision that propelled him into the spotlight. What decisions did he make? Stepping into Hollywood's spotlight. In 1962, Ernest Borgnine took on a role that defined much of his career, starring as the tough but lovable skipper Quentin McHale in the TV series McHale's Navy. What started as a serious drama in a 1962 episode titled 7 Against the Sea quickly transformed into a comedy, drawing laughs and attention, and as the crew of PT-73 got into hilarious situations during the Second World War. The show's success skyrocketed, thanks to the quirky characters played by Borgnine, Joe Flynn, and Tim Conway. It quickly became a top 30 hit, earning Borgnine an Emmy nomination in 1963 for Best Lead Actor in a Comedy Series. However, after 4 seasons, McHale's Navy came to an end in 1966 due to low ratings and repetitive plots. Borgnine had already established himself as a household name, but he wasn't ready to slow down. His film career took off, with notable roles in The Dirty Dozen, Ice Station Zebra, The Poseidon Adventure, and the Western classic The Wild Bunch. Borgnine's ability to play a wide variety of characters, from tough soldiers to quiet heroes, became his trademark. He believed that every film should have a moral, and his characters, no matter how gritty, always seemed to embody a sense of right and wrong. As the years passed, Borgnine's presence on TV and in films continued to grow. He appeared in numerous guest roles on shows like Little House on the Prairie, Murder, She Wrote, and Magnum P.I., often playing tough yet likable characters. In the 1980s, Borgnine returned to TV in the popular action series Airwolf, playing the helicopter pilot Dominic Santini. The role became a hit, even though the production schedule was grueling, and the show eventually ended in 1986. In the 1990s, Borgnine's career took a different turn.
SpongeBob, before that I did All Dogs Go to Heaven. I'm very, very proud of it too.
He lent his voice to the animated series SpongeBob SquarePants, voicing the lovable superhero Mermaid Man. He also starred in a number of TV movies and took part in a bus tour across America, meeting fans for a documentary called Ernest Borgnine on the Bus.
It was so great. I said, this is a bus? But then again, when I went inside, I thought I was in a condo.
Welcome to the Sunbum.
It's unreal, like a king-size bed inside.
His heart for his fans never wavered, and he became known for his tireless energy, always the first on set and the last to leave. Borgnine's final years were marked by more heartfelt performances. In 2007, at age 90, he was nominated for a Golden Globe for his role in A Grandpa for Christmas, making him the oldest nominee in history. He continued acting into his 90s, with roles in Red and The Man Who Shook the Hand of Vicente Fernandez, which would become his final film. His ability to connect with audiences, whether through voice acting, dramatic roles, or even comedic sketches on Saturday Night Live, cemented his legacy as one of Hollywood's most enduring and versatile actors. Now, let's talk about a particular person who had a great impact on Ernest's career with just one sentence. Let's check out Dean Martin's impeccable legacy, the King of Cool. Dean Martin, born in Steubenville, Ohio, grew up to become one of the most beloved entertainers of the 20th century. He first found fame in 1946 as part of the comedy duo Martin and Lewis, alongside Jerry Lewis. Their act was a hit, and they performed together in nightclubs, on the radio, and even in films. But after their partnership ended in 1956, Dean Martin embarked on a solo career that would cement his legacy. Known as the King of Cool, Martin was a smooth, laid-back performer with a voice that melted hearts. He became a favorite on the Las Vegas stage.
What would you do without me? What would you do, boy? What would you do without me when I'm gone?
Where he sang a mix of contemporary tunes and timeless classics. His friendship with fellow stars like Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. led to the creation of the famous Rat Pack, a group that defined the cool, carefree vibe of the era. In 1965, Martin launched The Dean Martin Show, a variety show that showcased his singing, comedy, and easygoing charm. The show became a hit, with Martin effortlessly moving between light-hearted skits and heartfelt ballads. He continued to entertain fans with his quick wit and relaxed style for many years. From 1974 to 1984, he became the roast master of the Dean Martin Celebrity Roast, a show that brought together celebrities, comedians, and even politicians for hilarious and sometimes irreverent humor. Martin's popularity wasn't limited to television. Over his career, he sold millions of records.
One of the best of the entertainers was a prince of a fellow who dropped in once a week.
With hits like Ain't That a Kick in the Head, That's Amore, and Everybody Loves Somebody. He appeared in 85 films, and his music became iconic, still loved by fans today. Though Dean Martin's career spanned decades, his legacy as the King of Cool continues to shine, making him a true legend of show business. However, he wasn't always the King of Cool. Let's start from the days of humble beginnings. A similar background. Dean Martin had a life as colorful and captivating as the music he became famous for. the son of Italian immigrants, Gaetano, a barber from Montesilvano, Italy, and Angela, a woman with deep roots in Fernwood, Ohio. Dean grew up in a modest household. As a young boy, he was drawn to two very different worlds: the boxing ring and the stage. At 15, he became Kid Crochet and fought in the ring, earning a broken nose and battered hands along the way. But his real love was music, and after a brief, tumultuous career in boxing, he turned to singing. Dino's early days were filled with humble jobs. He worked as a stock boy and a croupier at an illegal casino before discovering his true calling as a crooner, calling himself Dino Martini after the famous opera tenor Nino Martini. Dean's voice, smooth and velvety like the finest whiskey, began to earn him local gigs. In the early 1940s, after performing with Cleveland bandleader Sammy Watkins, Dean was urged to change his stage name to Dean Martin, a move that would prove critical in his rise to stardom. It wasn't long before his captivating voice and charm caught the eye of Hollywood, but his real breakthrough came when he met a young comedian named Jerry Lewis.
Everything we got. What's that for?
He said no hitting below the bell.
Come on, put that back in there. Remember, we're going to give him the old one, too. Open your mouth.
What's that for?
That's so if he hits us, he won't knock our teeth out.
Knock our teeth out.
The encounter took place at the Belmont Plaza Hotel in New York City in 1944. Dean, who was singing at the hotel's famous Glass Hat Club, approached Jerry with a simple compliment. "Hey, I saw your act. You're a funny kid." What began as a friendship quickly blossomed into a partnership that would go down in history as one of the most famous duos in entertainment. In 1946, Martin and Lewis debuted as a comedy musical team at the 500 Club in Atlantic City. Their first performance was a disaster, leaving them with just one chance to salvage the night. Behind the club, they huddled in an alley, brainstorming. What followed was pure magic. Martin sang while Lewis created chaos, dropping plates, interrupting, and generally wreaking havoc, much to the delight of the audience. The act clicked, and they were soon performing at the famed Copacabana in New York. By 1949, the team had become a national sensation, and Martin and Lewis signed a contract with Paramount Pictures, making a string of successful films that showcased their perfect blend of music and comedy. However, despite their popularity, cracks began to appear in the partnership. Martin grew frustrated with the repetitive nature of their films, where he often played the straight man to Lewis's zany antics. A pivotal moment came in 1954, when a publicity photo from Look magazine showed Martin, Lewis, and actress Cherie North. But Martin was cropped out. It was the last straw. After a decade together, Martin decided to go solo. The split was amicable, but it marked the end of a chapter. As he reflected later, Martin had no regrets. "It was the right time," he said. "We had done it all." After the split, Dean Martin became one of the most beloved solo stars in entertainment, with a career spanning music, television, and film. His suave charm, combined with his deep, soulful voice, made him a cultural icon. He recorded timeless hits like That's Amore and Everybody Loves Somebody, hosted The Dean Martin Show, and appeared in numerous hit movies. Whether crooning in front of an audience or appearing on TV, Dean Martin became a symbol of cool, with his signature relaxed style and effortless charm. His legacy from the days of Martin and Lewis to his own solo success continues to resonate with fans across the world. Dean Martin's life was anything but a bed of roses, and like everyone, he faced his share of pain and heartbreak. What were his most challenging moments, and how did he overcome them? Fair share of loss. For almost 10 years, Dean Martin was a recording machine, releasing up to 4 albums a year for Reprise Records. His final album with the label, Once in a While, was recorded in 1974, but wasn't released until 4 years later. After that, he moved to Warner Brothers Records, where he recorded the Nashville Sessions in 1983. One of its tracks, I Think That I Just Wrote. My First Country Song became a hit, especially when he teamed up with Conway Twitty. A couple of years later, he released L.A. Is My Home, Drinking Champagne in 1985. In 1974, Martin also starred in his last film role in Mr. Rico, playing a criminal defense lawyer. But off the screen, Martin's life was changing in other ways. In 1972, he filed for divorce from his second wife, Jean, and soon after, his business deal with the Riviera Hotel in Las Vegas fell apart. The casino wouldn't meet his request to perform just once a night. So, he made the move to the MGM Grand Hotel, where he performed on its opening night in 1973, and was required to star in a film for MGM as part of his contract. Things took a turn in the late 1970s when Martin made up with his old comedy partner, Jerry Lewis. It happened during a 1976 Labor Day telethon benefiting the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Frank Sinatra surprised everyone by bringing Martin on stage. And the crowd cheered as the two embraced. This moment was one of the most memorable of Lewis's life, and the event helped rebuild their friendship, even though they didn't perform together again until Martin's 72nd birthday in 1989. In the 1980s, Martin made brief returns to the film world with the Cannonball Run and its sequel, which were both big hits despite mixed reviews. He also had a minor hit with the song Since I Met You Baby, and appeared in his first music video on MTV, created by his youngest son, Richie. But in 1987, tragedy struck when Martin's son, Dean Paul Martin, died in a plane crash while serving in the California Air National Guard. The loss devastated Martin, and he struggled with depression and alcohol. In 1988, a tour with Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. was meant to help him heal, but it wasn't enough. Martin's grief weighed heavily on him, and it became clear that the loss of his son had taken a toll, leaving him reclusive and battling with alcoholism. Dean Martin's story was filled with ups and downs, with moments of great success and sadness. Despite his struggles, his legacy as a beloved performer, comedian, and musician remains, with fans remembering his charm and kindness on stage and screen. What do you think of Dean Martin's little role in Ernest Borgnine's life? Is there more to why Dean Martin is known as the King of Cool? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.